Hey, welcome back. My name is Preston Hawker, and this is the Lead Security YouTube channel. This channel exists to help church leaders just like yourself equip your churches to be both inviting and secure. In our last video, I briefly mentioned how critical it is to get your pastor's support if you're trying to strengthen or build a church security team. But today, I want to go a little bit deeper into that conversation. And why? Well, because the truth is you can have all the best intentions, but without your church's leadership's buy-in, your efforts are always going to feel like an uphill battle. So in this video, I want to walk you through 3 practical steps to gaining your pastor's support for better security.
I am out here for you.
I'm going to give you some language, some strategy, and a new perspective that you can use this week to help move that conversation forward. Now let's get into it. Now, the first step is to speak your pastor's language.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. When you're passionate about security, which I am, it's easy to lead with the how, meaning how you're going to make something more secure. The how being cameras or team members or radios and, well, force multipliers. You get the picture. But your pastor probably isn't thinking like a tactician. He's thinking like a pastor or a shepherd. So instead of leading with the how, start with the why. What's the mission of your church? Probably something like to reach people, to disciple them, to create a place where people feel welcomed and safe so that they can encounter the presence of God. And it should be something along those lines. But let me ask you this. How does church security support that already existing mission? So you're not protecting buildings, you're protecting people. And those people, the people being families and kids and guests and volunteers, they're going to struggle to fully engage in worship or in the word if they feel unsafe, distracted, or exposed. Security creates a way for ministry to thrive without unnecessary fear or disruption. So here's a quick way to bring this home with your pastor. Use some biblical language. Talk about stewardship, which is taking good care of what God's already trusted us with. Talk about shepherding. A shepherd doesn't just feed the sheep, he protects the sheep from wolves. Then talk about watchmen on the wall that we hear about from Ezekiel and Nehemiah. See, that's security in scripture. When you frame security in a way that's consistent with biblical worldviews, the conversation shifts from being tactical to pastoral, and that's where you want to exist. The second step is going to be to show the gaps. Once you've laid a foundation using language that your pastor can understand, it's time to get practical. But this is where a lot of people get it wrong. You don't want to come in with a doomsday list or overwhelm your pastor with everything that's wrong. Instead, you want to show the gaps clearly, calmly, and with the right tone. Use some simple, real world examples that are posed as questions. Questions like, what would we do or what could we do if a child went missing during one of our services? Do we have a preparation? Do we have a plan? Another question could be, what would we do if somebody collapsed in our main lobby, or if somebody was showing signs of maybe heart attack in our sanctuary? Are we prepared to manage something like that? Here's another good one. Who keeps an eye on our entrances and exits during our services? You want to keep this as conversational as you can. You're not trying to stir panic, you're trying to reveal already existing risk. And once the gaps are identified, you need to offer solutions, not just the problems. Pastors don't need another person dumping all of their work onto their plate. So come with a plan, even if it's a small one. Say something like, I'm not asking for full-time security team members tomorrow. But what if we had one trained person who could monitor the kids area? And what if we had somebody that was posted maybe at our front door? What if I or somebody could host a 5-minute huddle before service just to go over any known risks, whether that be, violent or just medical emergencies that some people in our church have had recently? We could let people know that, Miss Smith had a heart attack a couple weeks ago, and we might need to keep an eye on her. It's not just all about managing violent attacks. Sometimes it's the medical emergencies that are most important. And you don't need to feel like you have to close every security gap at the same time either. Just make sure you've got some forward progress. Let me take a moment to tell you a little story. My dad was that all-star high school football player. And when we used to play a pickup game at a picnic or a barbecue, he'd always remind us that your team doesn't need a Hail Mary to win. You just need to average about 3 yards per carry. And the truth is he's absolutely right. That same concept is true for church security as well. You might want to throw every pass into the end zone, but if you do, you're going to drop a bunch of passes. If you want to win the game, instead of throwing everything into the end zone, get really good at your short gains. Eventually, if you get good at those short gains, eventually you're going to find yourself shoulder to shoulder with some buddies doing a victory dance in the end zone. And don't forget what we find in Luke 16:10. It says, if you're faithful with a little, you're going to be given a lot. So before we move on to this third and final step, I want to give you a pro tip. If your church has insurance, which it definitely should, talk to your provider or get your pastor to talk to the provider. Ask if they offer a free risk assessment, which most of them do. And the reason you want to do this is when you get recommendations from a third party instead of just yourself, it's going to add weight to what you're already saying about security. It's not going to sound personal. It's not going to sound accusatory or even emotional. It's just going to sound professional. Now, moving on to the third and final step, you want to provide peace of mind, not just panic. This last step might be the most important one. This step is all about helping your pastor understand that security isn't just about paranoia, it's about peace of mind. There's a difference between fear based planning and faithful preparedness, which is what we're aiming for. You're not asking to create a fortress. You're not implementing any security measures from the correctional facility down the street. You're asking to create an environment where guests feel cared for, where families feel secure, and your volunteers feel safe and protected. Good security is invisible most of the time. It works quietly in the background. If they're doing their job correctly, most people will barely even notice them. When we invest in church security, we enable children's workers to focus on their classrooms instead of scanning hallways. When we focus on security, we give our greeters the ability to genuinely smile and fully engage with the people that they're greeting instead of being concerned with what's happening in the parking lot. When we invest in church security, we help our churches engage the community with courage and not be swayed by fear. Let me close with this. If you want your pastor to support your security efforts, you don't need to sell him something. You need to show him how what you want to build supports what he's already been called to do. The way you're going to do that is by speaking his language, by showing the real fixable gaps that are already overtly existing in your church building, but also in your church plans or, well, lack thereof. And finally, you're going to show him how security supports the ministry as a whole, providing peace, not panic. Be faithful, especially when building the team feels like an uphill battle. And eventually, you're going to start seeing some buy in, not just from your pastor, but from your whole congregation. Now, before you go, if this video has helped you, do me a favor. Hit the like button, give it a comment, subscribe, and send it to somebody who's trying to build a safer, more secure community of their own. If you're looking for a resource to help you build a security ministry, either from scratch or to just make your already existing security ministry more robust, give me a follow on Instagram where I post daily tips and insights, or check out our online master training at leadsecurity.com. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time right here on the Lead Security YouTube channel.